Previously in Phaneroo.
I want to talk to us this evening as people who understand that God has both gifted you and assigned you for a purpose on the earth, which is the preaching of the gospel of Jesus Christ. This is something we should enter with so much precaution, so much accountability, and seriousness on our part, especially for those of us who are gifted to see in the generic realms of divine thought. I always say there's that which is generic, and it comes in the provisions of the office that you have been given. For example, if somebody is a natural singer, they don't need to apply themselves so much to sing. But there are some who understand the power of putting more effort to improve the craft. And some of those people perform way better than people who don't follow the principles that govern singing. That's why there's things as training. Even spiritually, we have something called spiritual exercises. Exercising yourself to godliness. So your spirit man can be exercised for accuracy. If you don't respect or understand how powerful this requirement is in the kingdom, you'll not function in the excellence of the spirit. The human spirit can be exercised to do so much. For example, if it is exercising yourself to see, to what end are you seeing? There is a wisdom that requires you to be accountable of what you see, that you might not have offense on the day of Christ. There are offenses that come with the assignments that God has given us because He expects us to function a certain way. That's the essence of consecration. All of us, in a way, as God has called us, like I said, whether you're going to be the people like me, whether you're going to do sound, or you're going to be a business person, you're a political leader, wherever God has placed you, we all have our defined consecrations. When you say that God has consecrated me for a work, there are vows that God has with you when He is about to commission you. And every man should know their vows with God. They are different. Either those which God makes with them privately, individually, or those which God makes with their parents while they're in their womb. For example, the Bible speaks of a man called Samson, and God says that not a razor shall touch his hair. That in the consecrations on Samson, God had to task him with a test that no razor should touch your head. This, if you think about it really, it was not important for Samson really to grow hair, as it was for him to discipline himself against the things that should remind him of the purpose and assignment for which God has given him, and the testation of his heart to know how he would keep the secret of the Lord. There's a very beautiful pattern that I want to show us here. And I want to begin from a story many of us know. Jesus is on his way to Jordan, to the wonderful man of God called John, to be baptized by him in Matthew chapter 3. And then Jesus, verses 16, when he was baptized, he went up straight out of the water, and the heavens were opened unto him. And he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove, lighting upon him. And a voice from heaven saying, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." Immediately after that baptism, Matthew chapter 4, he is led of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted. It's a very important aspect to understand the pattern of the Spirit here. Now, Jesus is going to enter his primal consecration. He begins with baptism. Immediately after the baptism, the Spirit of the Lord descends from heaven like a dove, lighting upon him, and says, "This is my Son, in whom I am well pleased." When he receives the endorsement of heaven, immediately he's taken to the wilderness. And God showed me a pattern. He said to me, I can never lead a man to the wilderness before endorsing them spiritually, before affirming them spiritually. Because if they lose my affirmation, they will express so much insecurities. And instead of true hunger, they'll find themselves lasting. They will lose the patterns and win over empires whose glory they carry not because they don't understand principles. Without divine endorsement, it can be a very catastrophic experience for a man to be taken into the wilderness. What is the wilderness? It's a place where God kills you. What does it mean to be killed by God? You die to the world and the world dies to you. Nothing in the world appeals to you. God has not designed accessories to minister comfort to you, and they will never minister comfort to you. God can kill you and kill everything you see. It doesn't mean you will not appreciate its beauty, nor enjoy its function as a tool. I will look at a car as a tool. I'll look at a house as a tool, but you will not be consumed by the luxuries that come with it, because you are tagged and designed for purpose. So anything that serves divine purpose, it's the only thing that will connect to your spirit. So God kills you. Then he teaches you himself. I have never seen a student of the Spirit who is not a great scribe. When you learn the place of the scribe spiritually, you'll be amazed how much liberty you express to the person of the Holy Spirit when you choose to write. That's why the Bible speaks of the scribe which has been instructed unto the kingdom of heaven. The Bible says is likened unto a man that is a householder, which bringeth forth out of his treasure things new and old. What is this treasure? The Spirit. So out of your spirit, you can bring out both new and old. You connect both to ancient oils and the transitions of the Spirit as God would require and avail them in every dispensation. But it's amazing what he starts to speak when you get a pen or you get your phone and say, "Speak, Holy Spirit, I am listening." So remember, I said in the wilderness, he kills you, he teaches you, but also he tests you to maturity. Jesus goes to Peter and says, "I saw in the vision, I saw Satan has desired to sift you as wheat." But he says, "But I've prayed for you that your faith fail thee not." Because at one particular point, your fellow brethren are going to fall, and I will need you, Peter, to stand to restore your brethren. This was not something God would avert of Peter's life, because it was a necessary testation for God to mature him enough to restore a man when he finds him going through the same sifting he went through a while ago. That is not something you learn outside the wilderness. That is something God teaches you in your wilderness experiences. And these are testations that teach you to learn. He'll put you in scenarios. You have 5,000 people. What do you have? 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. So how do we feed them? Watch from the master. He raises the basket, gives thanks, and all of them eat. One day when you ever get to the wilderness and you're starving, know how to get food when you need it. You see, so those are instructions that only find you as a student. You learn, there are certain things you learn. He teaches you, this is how money comes, because I don't want my servant to beg. This is how you build your health. This is how you build your family. He starts to show you things. You're learning. And we see that all our fathers have gone through the wilderness. Abraham is taken to Canaan. Go to a place I'll show you. And there he says, "I shall make thee a great nation." He tells Moses, "Leave Egypt." Then he throws him in the wilderness. But like I said, before he takes this man to the wilderness, the most important thing at that particular point, he has to help him firstly receive the affirmation of heaven. He has to affirm him. He has to endorse him. He has to minister a certain place of comfort that when that man enters the wilderness, if there are things he should forget, he shouldn't forget that he is a son of God and that he is loved. Because if the wilderness finds you insecure, you can judge God. You can even walk out before the full term that you're supposed to serve. And some of you, your destinies and ministries are literally aborted in the place where they were supposed to be given birth to. Because remember, when you say that you are affirming a man, when we talk about that place of affirmation that Jesus received at the beginning before he's led into the wilderness, God is trying to tell you, I think you are ready to be tested. You are qualified in every ecclesiastical order. I want to teach you the difference between power and authority, and I'm trying to invite you to places of authority. I want to put the miraculous faculty in you, charismatos, So you don't only heal, but you become a source that teaches many to heal. You don't just become rich, but you become a source that multiplies many into wealth. And to do that, I need firstly to affirm you, to know that I'm entering this thing, but the blood in me is not of a human being. The resources that are planted and established in my spirit are beyond a normal human being can find. So yes, I'm going through this trial, but I'm not going alone. There is somebody who anointed me. There is somebody who endorsed me. There is somebody who affirmed his love for me, that whether you in the wilderness go through fire, whether you go through water, you will never doubt God. You will never denounce him. You will never second guess. You will never judge him foolishly, because you remember the moment he first affirmed his love and presence with you. He says, now go, for lo, I'm with thee to the end. That is why there are people, regardless of what they go through, and I'm talking about some of you or to some of you, they'll eventually land where they're supposed to be. It's only a matter of time. Why? That God had his eye and design on you and say that I chose you already and I've kept my righteousness on you for one purpose only, because there is something I have called you for. And it's only I who can take you there. But I cannot take you through the deeper consecrations that you need, at the degree I should use you, if you firstly don't receive my affirmation that regardless of what you are going through, you are my son.
Join our online family, spread the love, and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Phaneroo, Make Menace.